Upstairs at Froelich, show 119, reel 1.
High anxiety, it's always the same. Ooh, anxiety, it's you that I blame. It's very clear to me, I've got to give in. High anxiety, you win.
Oh, geez. You need to go to Vegas and frickin' croon for the old biddies, man. You'd probably get some...
Wow!
Apparently do my Jeff Goldblum impersonation for this. My hands are out. I am asking for something, but I never say what I'm asking for, and I have a slightly confused look on my face because I'm Jeff Goldblum. And welcome to Upstairs at Froelich. Upstairs at Goldblum's.
And just to say, life finds a way. Good old Jeff. Gotta love
The great Jeff Goldblum, who, strangely enough, I mean, like in the second movie that we're going to review, is not the star of the movie, but Geena Davis is for some reason. Jeff Goldblum is just a co-star in the movie. But this is we're talking about the two movies in the holy trilogy of Jeff Goldblum and Geena Davis that they made between the years of 1985 and 1988. Transylvania 65000 and Earth Girls Are Easy. All right, so Transylvania 65000, which I remember it was on cable television. I remember it being, that's where I saw it. I mean, I saw the trailers for it because it had kind of a goofy trailer and it looked like a goofy comedy in the Mel Brooks style. And but I never got around to seeing it because I couldn't, you couldn't really find it because it was New World, right? That made the movie.
Yeah. New World.
In Philly, you didn't really get to see that many New World movies in the movie theater
because they were always regionally distributed. That was never. I always say New World was never a national distribution. They were always regional. Had a lot of big names behind it too. I mean, outside of your two main stars, you had Ed Begley Jr. You had an up and coming Michael Richards, Jeffrey Jones, who was still in his whole '80s heyday around that time.
Right.
I guess the big draw in that movie
Carol
is
Kane, John Byner, a very early role from Michael Richards, who played Kramer on Seinfeld.
And then Joseph Bologna.
Joseph Bologna or Joseph Bologna or whatever.
Whatever you want. I try to pronounce it like the classier way.
Bologna?
Bologna. That's how I pronounce it. It could be Joseph Bologna for all I know, but I just say Bologna.
Now, what I remembered him mainly from before this was Blame It on Rio. Jeff Goldblum and Ed Begley Jr. play two writers, journalists for a tabloid, like one of those really bad, right up by the cash register tabloids.
Yeah, it's like a Weekly World News type of tabloid.
You're like boy trapped in refrigerator, eats own foot to survive. I had Hitler's love child, that kind of thing. And they work for Norman Fell, who gets a special appearance credit here, just like Robert De Niro and Angel Heart.
But you see, Norman Fell's special appearance credit was warranted because he was only in the beginning of the movie, and that was it.
It makes sense, yes.
It was a warranted special appearance credit.
Right, and here he's actually plays the dad of Ed Begley Jr., right?
Yep.
Sends them off to Transylvania to investigate the source of a rather professionally shot home movie of what appears to be a Frankenstein monster attacking tourists. And so they go to Transylvania, apparently, along with a couple of other people, because I guess what they're trying to do, Jeffrey Jones is the mayor of Transylvania, he's trying to turn it into a tourist trap. A bunch of other people from the first world come to this place. Among them, I believe, Teresa Ganzel.
Yep, Teresa Ganzel. She popped up in a couple of things. Mainly, I remember her from an episode of Monsters. In the 80s.
Yes, I remember. Monsters was a great show. I remember her as the wife of Jackie Gleason in The Toy. In this movie, though, she plays a mom. She's got a kid. Jeff Goldblum's constantly trying to hit on her. And it's weird because Goldblum is the suave, flirty guy, while Ed Begley Jr. is the awkward, bumbling comic relief who's kind of a serious, he wants to get down to the mystery of what's going on. Goldblum kind of like he's just there for a paycheck. He's an actual journalist and he believes in journalism and all that stuff. But this is all, fake news, as they say.
You know what? Guy wanted a paycheck, so why not? And apparently, they're Could have been a little more exposition saying maybe he was a skilled writer at one point in time, but like they did in Perfect, maybe he did a story that no one agreed with and he got fired and he had to take a job working for a hack newspaper just to make ends meet.
Apparently he wants to be Woodward and Bernstein, and this is like not. This is like so the movie is like a cheap kind of Abbott and Costello routine. The production design is surprisingly good. I mean, it's like I was looking at the floors and I was looking at the wall and I was like, this is like real work here. This isn't just some movie set or something. It looks like real stuff.
I mean, for all they know, they probably did find like an old castle. Like, I don't know about the filming locations, but they probably found like a really nice castle someplace or a good mansion, and they dressed it up really nice and were able to do some good production design out of it.
Rudy DeLuca, who co-wrote 4 movies for Mel Brooks. And here he plays a quote-unquote werewolf, but he's not really. He's just sort of a masher who runs off into the bushes to make out with some chick. There is a kind of werewolf in this movie, but he's not really, because everything that you see in the movie looks like it's horror, but it actually turns out that it's Joseph Bologna doing, plastic surgery work or something, or he's trying to help people that look like monsters. It's all a big misunderstanding. It's an episode of Three's Company, you know?
Except when he goes into the lab, he turns into a mad scientist, basically.
Well, yeah, he's just, he's doing this thing. It's there's a lot of funny.
Would you like an espresso? Would you like an espresso? Can I get you an espresso, please? Like, and then all of a sudden, 360. Get your ass back in here.
Now, Rudy DeLuca, who I remember, he gets other than this part that he plays, he was in a Mel Brooks movie that he co-wrote called High Anxiety, and he plays this Bond villain type of guy who's obviously patterned after Richard Keel's Jaws, but his name was Braces. And he's got, I don't know, he's got like these things in his teeth, and he breathes through his nose, and he's like, you want me to kill him? Just tell me I have to kill him. I would love to kill him. I would enjoy it. I have a passion for killing him. It's like they find that it's really not as bad as anyone thought. They just need good publicity, this town, so.
But then at the very end, they still do their whole schlocky thing with the newspapers.
Yeah. Of which I have a few, which I will present right now. Frankenstein lives, reveals enormous bolt. Transylvestite exposed. Mummy, really a daddy. Wolfman cured, wins surfing contest. Oh, the Wolfman, the actual Wolfman in this is played by Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds. And you can't really see his face at all in the whole thing. Killer bees found in gypsies' wrinkles. The Butler comic plays Royal Rock concert, barfs on Prince. That's Michael Richards there, Kramer from Seinfeld. And Doctor performs vasectomy on himself. So they did get a couple of ridiculous things. Now let's talk a little bit about, because Jesus Christ, you can't talk about this movie without talking about the beautiful Geena Davis playing some weird kind of vampire chick that isn't really a vampire.
No, she's just got a bad sex fetish.
Yeah, she's got a weird. There was such a funny scene that I was telling you about where Ed Begley's all tied up and he's like, "Get this off me! Get these bites off!" And she starts with his belt on his pants, which I thought
not that belt, this belt.
I thought it was fucking hilarious. I don't know why.
Shows how much of a good actress she, eventually became to be.
She was. Well, the thing. I was talking to my wife about it because we were watching Earth Girls last night, and she was like, "I really didn't. I couldn't remember Geena Davis until The Accidental Tourist, because that's the one where she got like an Oscar or something."
Yep.
But she had been in all these movies before. The earliest I saw Geena Davis, well, first she was on a Family Ties episode where she played like a babysitter that, I don't know, Alex had a crush on. And then after that, she was in Tootsie,
yep,
where she's walking around with a bra and panties on, and Dustin Hoffman's like just stammering around because he doesn't want to look head on at her. And then she was in Fletch playing Chevy Chase's assistant, Larry. Her name was Larry. She was in this movie, and then she does The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, who I guess they were dating at the time. They got married. I forget when they got married, but they weren't married for very long. It's kind of unusual. Well,
funny enough, after we watched Earth Girls, we did watch The Fly.
And it's, the thing is, Earth Girls Are Easy is like one of my wife's favorite movies. She absolutely loves that movie. She loves everything about it. She loves all the songs. She loves Julie Brown mainly. Julie Brown wrote and did the music. One of my wife's favorite songs, "'Cause I'm a Blonde," BLOND. "'Cause I'm a Blonde, Don't You Wish You Were Me?" And I've been making fun of Regan nonstop since that. I've been just going, yeah, to her all the time, and it's been pissing her off because she's a blonde. But what are you going to do about that?
I, like most people, saw this movie because of Jim Carrey.
I didn't, the thing, okay, Jim Carrey's very interesting. Around that time that Transylvania 65000 came out, another movie came out called Once Bitten. Now, I didn't know Jim Carrey because it was like his first movie or his first big movie. I mean, he actually gets like the movie's about him, basically. And Lauren Hutton plays a vampire who, wants to live forever and wants his blood and all that stuff, right? Jim Carrey's in the movie.
The blood of a virgin.
Yeah, yeah. And in the movie, he is absolutely amazing to watch. He is an absolute discovery. And I remember thinking a long time ago, James Carrey is what he was known as back then before he became Jim Carrey. And I was thinking James Carrey is going to be a big star one day because this guy is amazing. He's dancing. There's this whole scene where he's dancing and he's doing this John Travolta thing from Grease. And he's completely mimicking Travolta and his dance moves in this movie flawlessly. And plus he's funny and he's got that elastic face, as you know. And I said, this guy's going to be a big star. I don't know when it's going to happen, but apparently it took a long time. Even in this movie, in Earth Girls Are Easy, him and Damon Wayans are like kind of, sideline characters. They're comic relief. And Jeff Goldblum is the leader of them. They're a trio of 3 furry, multicolored aliens that crash land in Geena Davis's pool. And Geena Davis is engaged to be married to Charles Rocket. And that's not going to be a good thing because Charles Rocket always plays pricks and everything. Well, he always did. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. The Charles Rocket I was talking about was on the cast of Saturday Night Live in the 1980-81 season. After all the first cast left, and he said the F word on live television, and he got fired for it. His star never really ascended. I mean, Jean Doumanian, who produced Saturday Night Live, saw him as the second coming of Chevy Chase. That's how much confidence she had in him. She hired him on his talent alone and pushed him through to make him a cast. And he was a funny guy. He did this thing called The Rocket Report. It was hilarious. He was really good. He's kind of like a combination, I would say, of Chevy Chase and Bill Murray. He's got Chevy Chase's kind of, good-looking, I'm Chevy Chase and you're not straight attitude, but then he's also got this kind of, crazy Bill Murray thing going on, too. But here he plays Geena Davis's jerky fiance. I don't know. She catches him fooling around because he fools around with everybody in this movie when he is, and he's trying to. Meanwhile,
well, because she's supposed to go to a nail convention, and then the girls at the beauty shop convince her to stay home, surprise him, put on this frumpy outfit with a bad wig, and then it turns out he comes home with one of his nurses, and she catches him in the act, and then along comes the great musical number where she breaks all of his shit.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It would have been, I don't know, it was like kind of obviously overdubbed with somebody else's singing voice, but
of course.
I did like that, and it is a musical. This is a musical. I mean, but it doesn't. I mean, like my wife was telling me, a true musical has songs for every scene. So you're singing a song in place of dialogue for every scene. This is only like scattered songs throughout, but it's enough. I think it's enough to call it a musical.
Well, because it's so over the top.
This movie is insanely over the top. This movie, you know what the joke is of the movie? These aliens don't look much different than standard late 80s people of Los Angeles. That's the joke of this movie.
The only plot hole, I mean, again, I'm going to forgive it because the movie is so over the top, but if I had to pick a plot hole, okay, when they shave the aliens, okay, they obviously have, Jeff Goldblum has blue skin, Damon Wayans has yellow skin,
yeah.
Jim Carrey has orange skin, so after their hair is shaved, their skin reverts back to their normal color?
I don't know how it works. She takes, okay, let's get to that point. The aliens crash land. Of course, Geena Davis, she's like smart, but she's bubble-headed. So she's got this kind of thing. Oh my God, you're aliens or whatever. You're from like another planet. Hey, that's cool. Everybody's cool with it, pretty much. Even Julie Brown eventually. And she's we got to do something about your fur. So they go over to her salon, and Julie Brown makes them over. Jeff Goldblum steps out of this weird thing, and he looks like Jeff Goldblum. He's like this incredible Jewish god. That's what Jeff Goldblum
the
is.
word for that is androgynous.
You think?
I mean, dude, you got to think about it. He's a tall guy who's muscle bound, and he's like got 0% body fat damn near. I would dare use the word androgynous towards him.
My wife would slap you down. My wife loves late 80s Jeff Goldblum. So they all emerge. Jeff Goldblum has his black hair, trademark black hair, muscular. Jim Carrey is this good-looking guy with blonde hair. Damon Wayans is black, and I turned to Bronwyn and Regan. I'm saying, how is he black? I just didn't understand how he could be black because they're all like multicolored furry creatures with stripes and tufts of feathery kind of stuff going on. They speak in their bizarre language, of course. They pick up everything from televisions. This is such a fun, damned movie. I mean, because the filmmakers we're obviously trying to do something that was like a tribute to B movies from the 50s and 60s, right?
Yeah, they were trying to basically make their own Rocky Horror.
There's a movie called Mars Needs Women starring Tommy Kirk, who used to be in the Mickey Mouse Club back in the 50s, and it's about a Martian young man, Tommy Kirk, who comes down to Earth to look for women. He's looking for like somebody to marry or something. He's looking for that, and then there you have like Rocky Horror Picture Show, you have Forbidden Planet, you have all these different things that influence this movie, and it's obviously done in that spirit. So you can't really hate this movie. You can't say this is stupid or dumb or I hate Earth Girls Read. No, because if I put my pretentious filmmaker critic hat on, I'm gonna say that this is a parody. It's a satire.
It's just a fun movie. That's all it is. It is a fun, enjoyable 100 minutes that'll make you laugh. And in this case, nowadays, it is a time capsule of the 1980s.
Absolutely.
It is a time capsule of its time and generation, and that's why it's such a good movie. Because it was such a simpler time.
It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was a more naive time. It was a more innocent time. For some reason it was. I mean, I know
the wall was coming down.
L.A. is not the greatest place in the world. We know this. So many terrible things happen there all the time. But there's so much ambiance. There's so much energy in this movie. And also, I mean, like, for 1 second, can we talk about the production design and the cinematography? They're incredible.
Oh, yes. Incredible.
Like, so much better than most movies made in that time period, I would say. But
we were going to both talk about Julian Temple, about how he made so many good music videos. He
big. Also, he did a couple of Sex Pistols documentaries too, but he also directed this other movie that's a favorite of my wife's called Absolute Beginners. It didn't make any money. It was a big failure, and that was one of the reasons why they couldn't get this movie financed for a long time. Julian Temple and Julie Brown were shopping this movie for years. And they had different casts lined up who might have been interested, but they couldn't because they couldn't get any financing. They finally got financing from, I believe, Vestron, right? It was an independent partnership.
What ended up happening with that, I did my research too. It turns out the whole movie was independently financed. Okay, Vestron was the company that was able to pick it up for distribution because they needed a hit. They were in dire straits at this time. They had the big hit with Dirty Dancing, right? But that's the thing. That was the only hit they had. They never had a hit after that. I'm serious. Like I did a YouTube video a while back talking about the history of Vestron, and I was going to get into this, but we might as well get into it now. None of the movies that they made, Dirty Dancing was a happy fucking accident. Don't let history tell you otherwise. Dirty Dancing was a happy fucking accident. Okay, that movie was supposed to be released for a week because that's all that they could afford. Mm-hmm. Okay, it tested terribly. They wanted to burn the fucking print and collect the insurance. Okay, but they gave it a 1 week run and it went gangbusters. The whole movie went nuts. It made a ton of money. All of a sudden, Vestron Pictures had a bankroll. But what did they do with that bankroll? They pissed it away. The one story I love telling people, there's two movies in particular I like talking about. One is Waxwork. Now, here's the interesting story behind Earth Girls Release. I love that movie, actually. That's a great movie. When it came time for both of these movies to go to theaters, Vestron had a decision to make. They were putting their money on Earth Girls Are Easy. They said, we are going to give this movie a wide distribution, and we are going to give Waxwork a small distribution. They bet the wrong horse. Because of that, two things happened. Number one, Chud 2, which was supposed to go to theaters in 1989, got shelved and went straight to video. And the last one, and the biggest tragedy of them all, Little Monsters, financed by Vestron Pictures, was ready to go into theaters. They had to sell the print to MGM. MGM had bought it from them because they had no money to put it in the theater. Lesson to be learned for all you wannabes out there: if you're going to make a movie company, know what the hell you're doing, because this was a company, for those who don't know, Vestron was a company that was just a video distributor. That's all they were. They did not do theatrical productions or anything like that. Dirty Dancing was the 1 in a million fluke where they got lucky and they decided to put up the budget for it because they had enough money in all the pre-sales that they made and all the home video sales that they did to finance this little independent movie, and they got fucking lucky.
Okay, welcome to this installment of the Warner Clamshell Whatever thing that we do at the end of every episode. I don't usually do this, but I've got two movies here because we did Earth Girls Are Easy and Transylvania 65000 for this episode, so I thought I'd show you a couple of misfires because as Froelich explained, Earth Girls Are Easy was a massive misfire for Vestron Pictures. This is Under the Rainbow. It was made in 1981, starring Chevy Chase and Carrie Fisher, and it purports to be a sort of fictional musical recounting or retell of the Wizard of Oz. And it cost a lot of money, and it flopped completely. Can you turn it around so we can see the essay? So you can see it says, "No dreams too big, no dreamers too small. The Hollywood story goes like this in 1938," and I sound like that. I was doing some voiceover stuff with my wife earlier. Can you open it up? Let's see if this is Canadian or American. Ah, it is an American release with the traditional American Warner Home Video sticker on it. I find it hard to believe that this was even played much, because it wasn't a very popular movie. But it did have a story, as far as I know. I think this is a purchase. It's not a rental, because there's no rental stickers on it, and there's the seal, part of the seal over there that you can see on the side. Okay, let's look at the next one. This is Shock Treatment. This is to quote Richard O'Brien, "It's not a sequel, it's not a prequel, it's an equal." It's just sort of a follow-up to Rocky Horror Picture Show. Now, this is the later release, the second, I believe, release of this movie on videotape. It was first released by Key Video back in the early days of video, and then this is the second one. This is, can we see the spine? The spine, yeah, well, that will do. CBS Fox, when CBS purchased the Fox library and became CBS Fox, and they released, and you can see, look, it's got that wonderful italicized writing on the side. Let's see the back. Now, this is sort of an inconsistency. It claims to be stereo because it says mono compatible. When you play it through any stereo system from your VCR, it's only going to come out as dual channel mono. It doesn't come out as stereo. This is Brad and Janet, not played by Susan Sarandon or Barry Bostwick this time. It's Clifty Young and Jessica Harper. And Jessica Harper has a decent singing voice. Can we see the videotape? And this is the traditional sticker here, the 20th Century Fox logo. It's upside down. For some reason, no one rewound this one. People weren't being kind. But it's an okay one. I have a 25th anniversary DVD of it, which is pretty damn good, I gotta say. It looks really good. And I got that at Stop and Shop for $5. I think I spent 20 bucks on this videotape. I believe I ordered it via Blockbuster Video, and this is the copy that came in, because the third release in this American video release of the movie was a Fox Video release, and it was still, I think it was still using the same worn-out master they were producing for all of these tapes. Anyway, thanks for watching.